Joining us now is Mike Davis. He's at the steps of the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court has now issued a ruling of limited presidential immunity for Donald Trump. Mike, welcome to the program. Mike, break down what happened today at the U.S. Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court, in a 6-3 decision, issued one of its most monumental, consequential rulings in its history. The Supreme Court held that the President of the United States, any President of the United States, is immune from criminal prosecution for his official acts, not his personal acts. And the Supreme Court broke this down in this way, that when the President is performing his core constitutional responsibilities, he is absolutely immune. For example, whether he's going to fire his acting attorney general, as Biden's special counsel put in his bogus indictment of Trump for the January 6th case in D.C., Trump would be absolutely immune. And then there are categories where the president is presumptively immune under his official acts. And the Supreme Court said when President Trump was pressuring then Vice President Pence to not certify the election, there is presumptive immunity that Jack Smith can rebut with evidence, right? And then in his personal acts, there's no immunity. So what the Supreme Court did today was essentially destroyed Jack Smith's theory of the case on two of these four charges against President Trump. And in the Fisher case, the Supreme Court gutted the other two charges. So Jack Smith doesn't have much of a case left after these two monumental Supreme Court rulings.
So Mike, help me understand. Clarence Thomas also went to the core of this, and he said that Jack Smith might just be illegally chartered from the beginning to be doing this. Help the audience understand that.
Yeah, so in order to be an officer, you have to be an officer of the United States, or you have to report to an officer of the United States in order to be constitutional under in our executive branch. So the Attorney General is an officer of the United States. He's nominated by the president, confirmed by the Senate, then appointed by the president. That Jack Smith is a special counsel who was created through regulation. He was not even created through a statute passed by Congress. And the way these Attorney General regulations work is Jack Smith is essentially independent of the Attorney General or another officer of the United States. And because an officer of the United States does not fully control the special counsel, the special counsel's office is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court did not decide that issue today. Justice Thomas flagged it, but I imagine that President Trump is going to be filing a motion to dismiss in this January 6th case in D.C., along with the Florida presidential records case, because Jack Smith's office is not constitutional.
So let's go even deeper into this. What do you make of the left-wingers and the Democrats that are now openly calling for the assassination of Donald Trump? They are saying we should drone strike Donald Trump. Again, we have been predicting this for a couple of months. We have been saying that all they have left is assassination. They lost in the debate. They're losing in the polls. They lost at the Supreme Court. Did the Supreme Court just give Joe Biden the authority to assassinate Donald Trump?
Well, I would say absolutely not. And I would say this: they tried to bankrupt President Trump. They're trying to throw him in prison for the rest of his life. They're just trying to throw him off the ballot. That failed, right? This is all their lawfare and election interference is failing. So what are they trying to do now? They are openly calling for President Trump's assassination. I mean, these people are sick and insane. And I would say this: maybe they should nominate a better nominee for the Democrats rather than someone who is obviously demented and obviously not up to the job, so they don't have to take desperate measures like they're doing. Put up someone who can actually do the job and win the election, so the president is decided by the American people instead of a drone strike by President Biden.
Can you comment on the Steve Bannon federal prison sentence and how unprecedented and how ugly this is for our republic?
We've had constitutional executive privilege for 250 years, going back to George Washington, so presidents can get candid and confidential advice from their presidential advisors, both inside of the White House and outside of the White House, without fear that their advisors will get hauled before courts or Congress to reveal those discussions. And the whole point is, if you don't keep it confidential, if you don't have that executive privilege, you're going to destroy the president's ability to get good advice. You're going to destroy the presidency. You're going to destroy our country. There was a constitutional executive privilege with both Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon. The Biden Justice Department eviscerated that to get Trump. And at the same time that they put Navarro in prison and they're sending Bannon to prison now, they turned a blind eye to Hunter Biden, who did a drive-by political press conference at the Capitol and ignored a congressional subpoena. They ignored Merrick Garland ignored a congressional subpoena and said he had a get out of jail free card because he has executive or constitutional executive privilege, which is absolutely nonsense. Merrick Garland released the transcript of Special Counsel Rob Hur's conversation with President Biden, but he's refusing to release the tape. How can you release the transcript but not release the tape? So Garland is making a legally frivolous claim of executive privilege and refusing to cooperate with Congress, contempt of Congress, yet Garland is sending Navarro and Bannon to prison. There must be consequences to this. The House Republicans must hold Merrick Garland in inherent contempt of Congress and send the House Sergeant at Arms to go get him and arrest him and put him in the Capitol jail until Garland turns over those tapes.
So I just have to wonder, what exactly is the path forward then for Republicans to reciprocate? Mike Davis, I want to keep you in another segment. Why is it that our side is so unwilling to ever use political power against Democrats?
Because Republican politicians are weak and stupid. They're cowards. They think that this is all going away when Trump's going away, and they don't understand 100 years of Marxism with 100 million people who have been killed by Marxism. Remember, these Democrats, these Biden Democrats, aren't stopping with throwing Trump in prison or his top aides like Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon. They're going after his attorneys, Jeff Clark and John Eastman. They're going after his supporters. On January 6th, they're going after parents outraged by gender chaos in schools and the resulting rapes in high school bathrooms. They're putting 75-year-old Christians in prison for praying at abortion clinics while the Biden Justice Department and these Biden Democrat prosecutors turn a blind eye to Joe Biden.
Stay right there.
Biden and
Mike Davis, stay right there.